On today's episode, I am taking a look at new growth stocks to add to either my portfolio or my watch list. And normally, when I invest in a company, I'm looking for the following three things. The first thing, I want to make sure that they are in a market that I believe will continue to grow. Two, I want them to be achieving strong revenue growth estimations for the upcoming years. And three, I want them to be profitable within the next 3 years as well, right? Normally, when you invest in growth stocks tend to be unprofitable at the beginning because most of the time they're just continuing to grow their customers. They're trying to grow their revenue and the overall market, so they spend more money on advertising, more money on research and development. Obviously, that's nice, but at the end of the day, I'm here investing my money, so I want to make sure that within the next 3 years, they are expected to be profitable. So finding companies like this is very time consuming, and I do it normally, and I do it very often. But I actually wanted to speed up my process, and one of the ways I thought about it was taking a look at ARK Investment. And for those that don't know, ARK Investment has become very popular lately through the social medias and to all types of investors, from new to old, because ARK Investments has done great returns. And the whole premises of ARK Investments is they have multiple ETFs, and most of their ETFs have destroyed the market. And they invest in companies very similar to what I described in innovative markets, strong revenue growth. They don't really focus too much on profitability within the next 3 years, but I want to say they probably do have that in mind when looking at stocks to invest in. So I was like, all right, they did pretty much all the hard work for me. So what I ended up doing was I downloaded their full holdings for their main investment, ARKK. And I kind of went through every single one of those companies, took a look at their estimated growth for the next 3 years, took a look at if they're going to be profitable within the next 3 years, and then I ended up rating their scores. And obviously, the higher the score, it means that they are both going to be very high chance of being profitable and coming in with very high growth. So in today's episode is going to be broken down in the following. First, I'm going to start off and just give a quick explanation on how I did my point system. It's very simple. It should take about 1 or 2 minutes explaining that. After that, I'm going to take a look at the top 10 scores, maybe even the top 15 of the ones that did have the highest scores. And finally, at the end, I'm going to talk about my thoughts and mention some that I think are pretty cool and ones that I'm definitely going to add to my watch list. Luckily for me, some of these are already in my portfolio. If you are new to my channel, if you are a long-term investor, and if you like learning about growth stocks, make sure to hit the subscribe button. I do post videos almost on a daily basis, and if you guys ever want to get in contact with me, make sure to post on the YouTube comments. I'm also very active on Twitter, and I do have a Discord channel which is free to anybody. And also make sure to check out my weekly newsletter. I will be sending out this Excel sheet on this week's newsletter if you guys want to get it and just play around with it. Make sure to check out josenaharo.com to get this document this week. But remember, all this information is free. I am by no means a professional, so none of this should be taken as advice. You should make sure to talk to a financial advisor before making any investment decisions. So, like I mentioned, today we started off with, we're taking a look at ARK's main investment, which is ticker ARKK. And we're looking at their holdings from the end of August 6th, so the end of Thursday. And one thing I want to say is this is a very active portfolio, so they do buy and sell from time to time. But I've been following their portfolio for about a month now. And I've actually done a video on ARK Investment before, and you can find that on the description if you guys want to learn more about them later on. But here, normally they do sell in and out of positions. But they're higher weight positions. And here we're going to see, in this Excel sheet, I have the fund, the company, the ticker, then I have the score system on high growth, the scores on profitable, the overall score, the percentage of that company is to the portfolio, and I've also added the sector they're in, which is one I really enjoy, right? Because there's certain sectors I personally don't touch because they're not ones I normally invest in or don't know much about. So normally what I have from what I've seen, right, is not fact. They have, even though they sell in and out of positions, most of their high weight positions still remain the same. They might change in portfolio position size, but they remain holdings. The ones that are usually below 1% of their portfolio are the ones I see them swapping out from time to time. Again, I took a look at their portfolio about at least 2 weeks ago, maybe 3, and there hasn't been much change. There's only a few, and most of the changes have been from those that are below 1% of the portfolio. All right, so now let me mention the high growth the score system. So first, we're taking a look at two scores. The first score is based on high growth. And high growth, I'm gonna give points between 0, 1, or 2. If they get a point of 0, it means they are growing their revenue below 10% growth. This doesn't mean it's bad, but for me, I'm looking for companies that are at least growing faster than 20%, ideally, but 10 to 20% is also good. They get 1 point if they're growing the revenue between 10 to 20% on average for the next 3 years. And they get 2 points if they're growing at 20% revenue growth on average for the next 3 years. So what do I mean on average for the next 3 years? So here we have analysts that kind of estimate what type of revenue they will see. And maybe 1 year might be, maybe year 1 from now will be 30%, maybe year 2 from now will be 10%, and maybe year 3 from now will be 20%. So we can see that revenue growth is all over the place, but on average, that will return at least a 20% yearly growth on annual basis on average, right? So that's what I'm looking for. So over 20% will give 2 points. Then we're going to take a look at profitability. First, they're going to get 0 points if they're not profitable within the next 3 years. They get 1 point if they are already profitable or will be profitable within 3 years. And they will get 2 points if they're already profitable and are growing faster than the market or the industry in their earnings per share, in their earnings growth as well. And finally, the full system, I'm going to add them up and kind of give them. So a perfect score would be 4. The worst score will be 0. All right, so the first one, I was honestly surprised that there was at least one with the perfect score right now. And that one is Tesla. Tesla gets 2 points on high growth. So that means on average for the next 3 years, it's expected to grow its revenue at over 20% annually. Then it's also the only company that's being both profitable and is growing their profits faster than the market and the industry. So that to me, or the industry. So that gave it a perfect score of 4. And this is actually their top holding, coming in at 9% of their portfolio. So we can see, right, the one that's seeing the most growth, the one that's seeing the best profitability growth as well, is the one that has the highest growth in their portfolio. And that to me now makes perfect sense why they have such high holdings of Tesla. The second number, the number 2 will be Square. So Square comes in with 3 points, and again, very similar. This one is actually one of their top 10 holdings. I think it might be their number 2 holding still. And what comes in at Square? Square gets 1 point for high growth. So that means they're growing at least over 10% on revenue on annually for the next 3 years. So that's pretty high growth. This is in the fintech system. And they're growing, their profitability gets points too. So again, that means they're already profitable and their profits are growing faster than the industry. Next, we come in with Roku. Roku gets 3 points as well. And this one is another big position. We can see some of the ones that are the big positions are making up some of the top scorers. So Roku here, this is in the streaming business, and they get 3 points. They get 3 points. They come in with 2 points coming in from high growth. So their revenue is going to be growing an average 20% per year for the next 3 years. And they get 1 point. So that means they're either profitable right now or they are going to be profitable within the next 3 years. Next, we have Illumina. This is in the biotech. This one comes in with 3 points. They get 1 point in high growth. And the reason they get 1 point in high growth is because they're expected to grow their revenue at over 10% for the next 3 years on average annually. They are coming in 2 points in profitability, which means they're already profitable. And they are expected to continue to grow that profitability at crazy markets, higher than the markets. Next one, this one to me was pretty impressive. Lending Tree. Lending Tree is pretty much in, I would consider in the fintech. They do a lot of loans and peer-to-peer lending. And here they come in with 3 points as well. This one holds about 3% of their portfolio. Again, 3% is usually probably one of the top 15 holdings, to say the least. And here they get 3 points. They get 1 point in revenue growth, which means like 10%, at least 10% growth on average for the next 3 years annually. But they come with 2 points on profitability, which means they're already profitable and they are expected to beat the market in that profitability within the next 3 years. Next, we're coming to one of my favorite boys, and I'm actually happy to see this one. HUYA is one of the few stocks I've been I've actually talked a lot about most of these companies that we talked about so far. I have plenty of videos on Square. I have plenty of videos on the Roku. I have plenty of videos on Tesla. So you guys can check them out if you guys want to do more in-depth, or if you guys want a more recent in-depth analysis on them, fundamentals. Make sure to just let me know in the comments. But HUYA is my #1 holding in my portfolio, and they come in with a score of 3. They have at least a 1 point in high growth, which means within the next 3 years, they're expected to grow their revenue at annually higher than 10%. Their profitability comes in at 2, so that means they are already profitable and they are increasing their earnings faster than the market or the industry. And for you guys that don't know HUYA is in the esports streaming system. They're like the Twitch, of Amazon, right? They're like the Twitch, yep. But they are a Chinese-based company, so that's why a lot of people have been pushed away from HUYA. But HUYA has given me amazing returns in the past few months. It has, like I said, it is one of my biggest position now, and that's because of all the wins it's doing. The next one we're going to take a look at is TELEDOC. I think TELEDOC is one that they recently added, and it became 1.2% of the portfolio. For those that don't know, TELEDOC now just did their merge, is doing the merger with another crazy growth. So TELEDOC comes in with 3 points. They're seeing 2 points on high growth, which means their revenue is growing faster than 20% on average per year for the next 3 years. And they get 1 point in profitability, which means they're either profitable now or are expected to be profitable within the next 3 years. And then we're actually going to end with this one on Autodesk. So Autodesk comes in at 3 points as well. Autodesk is more in that software business to business. They do a lot of CAD system, and with people working from home and a lot of freelancers coming into the market, I do believe Autodesk is such a big enterprise name and is going to continue to do that. So Autodesk gets 3 points. They are less than 1% portfolio for ARK. But like they get 1 point from high growth, which means they are going to grow their revenue with at least 10% on average for the next 3 years annually. And then they are profitability, and they get 2 points for there. So that means they are profitable and they're growing their earnings at faster levels than the overall market. So how many did we take a look at there? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So those were 8 growth stocks that are doing really great right now and have great scores, and are being followed by big companies like ARK Investment. So now I want to give my thoughts on some companies that I found pretty interesting. So obviously Tesla is gonna make it up there. I find Tesla to be pretty crazy. I do not own any shares of Tesla, so don't be like, Jose, you're only giving 4 points. You're giving 4 points to Tesla because you're obviously a Tesla bull. To be honest, I'm neither a Tesla bull, neither a Tesla bear. But seeing these numbers here, we're seeing a perfect score from my overall system, right? And we can see that ARK Investments shows that dedication by being its #1 holder. That's one I really like. Square is also pretty cool, and their application, what's it called, Cash App, has been doing amazing with type of growth users. So seeing it up there is nice, and seeing it with the score of 3, it's in a market I believe will continue to grow. Roku, very similar in the streaming market. The streaming market is a market I am very bullish on. Maybe not every streaming platform will do it, but that's okay, because Roku it doesn't matter who is the top leader in the streaming market. Roku works with all of them. So I do believe that one is pretty cool. They get another point they also get a score of 3. I personally don't invest in biotech, so most biotechs come out of this list for me. The next one, like I mentioned, HUYA, I talked about it. TELEDOC and Autodesk are also on my top list. The streaming and esports, another market I'm very bullish. E-health, one that I do believe is going to continue to grow. And even after all this is done with COVID-19, right, people are just going to be used to talking to doctors on their phone, right? One of the things I hate right now is when I have something as simple or a quick checkup that doesn't really need any physical aspect of the doctors, I can pretty much just use TeleDoc to talk to my doctor. Autodesk, like I mentioned, is a pretty much really big enterprise software. This is one of the original SaaS companies that many people are looking at, and is growing at a fast levels and is very, very profitable right now. So Autodesk is next. Next on my list are some I did not mention. The first one is Splunk, and this is ticker SPLK, and this one is in the software, more business to business. Again, if you guys want me to do more in-depth analysis in any of them, feel free to post in the comments. Splunk is one I do not have a position in, but I do hear about it a lot from my software engineering friends, and I've seen about it just from people that do not invest, just about the overall business, never about investment, just about the overall business and products. They only get a point of 2, and right now ARK only has about 2% portfolio. But this one, they get 0 points in profitability, so unfortunately they're not expected to be profitable within the next 3 years. But they do get 2 points in high growth, so that means they are expected to grow crazy levels, over 20% on average annually for the next 3 years. The next one on my list is Spotify, and to me, I was honestly surprised. But I'm a big Spotify bull. Spotify is one of my favorite companies right now, but they only get 2 points. Spotify gets 1 point in revenue and 1 point in earnings, in profitability, which means they are expected to be profitable within the next 3 years or are already profitable, and they're only growing at over 10% revenue for the next 3 years annually. But again, the audio industry is one that I think is going to be very, very strong. Most of you are probably watching this, but while watching this, you're probably doing something else, and it's just showing the strength of the audio market. Next, we have Facebook. Facebook, again, many people consider it a social platform, but it's also very strong in the advertisement business, and they are entering, they're very strong in the gaming industry. They are in a place where all the eyes are at. So with the recent merger, I wouldn't say a merger, but they recently partnered up with Microsoft to take Mixer, which was the gaming streaming platform of Microsoft, and Facebook is incorporating it into their Facebook gaming. And this, I believe, is going to bring more eyes to Facebook. With more eyes on Facebook means more advertisement to them. So they get 1 point, very similar to Spotify. They get 1 point in high growth and 1 point profitability, and we already know what those are. So they get a total score of 2. The next one I want to take a look at is TWLO, ticker TLOW, and this one is another software business to business. This is another one I hear about from a lot of my software engineering friends. They get 2 points. They get 0 points on profitability, which means they are not expected to be profitable anytime soon, but they do get 2 points in revenue growth, so they are going to be growing at crazy levels. The next 2 companies came in with 1 point each. And even though they only came up with 1 point each, they have their own by ARK close to 4% of their portfolio. So ARK is very, very bullish on them. And looking at their numbers, I'm not so bullish, but looking at the markets they're in tells me a different story. So the first one is TWOU Inc., and this is ticker TWOU. And they work more in the online education. They are in different countries. I think they're in China, they're in like Europe, Middle Eastern. This is one I would like to do more research on. So if you guys find this one pretty interesting, make sure to let me know in the comments. This gets 0 points in profitability and gets 1 point in revenue growth. So it's expected to grow its revenue at 10% for the next 3 years on annual basis. Again, it only gets 1 point, but the overall market it's in, I think, is pretty cool. And that market is one that if I do research on them, it might help me find competitors that are doing better than TWOU. The final one is Proto Labs, and this is ticker PRLB. And this is in more of like 3D printing prototype system, or just in the prototype system at all. So it's pretty much, if you want to create an item and you want to create prototype, you go to Proto Labs. This one, pretty cool industry, especially with everybody becoming an entrepreneur nowadays. Having something like this, I think, is pretty cool, and it will save businesses a lot of money of not having to produce their own prototypes. So I can see a market growth there. Proto Labs gets only 1 point as well. Unfortunately, it gets 0 points in high growth, and that's one of the things that's really holding me back. It's not expected to grow. It's expected to grow revenue at between 0 to 10%. So that to me is pretty slow. Not normally something I would invest in, and they only get 1 point in profitability, which is it means they're either profitable now or will be profitable within the next 3 years. Again, those numbers don't really give me a huge bullish case, but seeing that ARK has almost 4% invested in there, and it's also in the market that I believe is pretty cool, can give me at least some. It opens my eyes to say, Jose, maybe take a closer look in them, and really try to give them a true chance before knocking them out. So again, if you guys want to check out this list, make sure to check out josenaharo.com and subscribe to the newsletter. I will be sending it out this week, probably Sunday. And I am thinking of doing a stream this Sunday as well. So make sure to check me out on Twitch at around 8:30. I want to say I will be on. And you guys can feel free to come ask questions. Normally, I just do fundamental research. And if you guys come, hey, Jose, check out this company. This one's pretty cool. I normally take a look at it and we can look at it together. So take care, guys. Have a good night and see you next time.